Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-2. They're 2-0 in the AFC North. They have a quarterback that has some question marks, but can turn it on in clutch situations. I think the layout is here. We know who the Pittsburgh Steelers are right now. So there's a big question, a question that I've been asked plenty of times in the last couple of days, one that I feel got the juices flowing a little bit. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers good enough? How do you feel about them? And should you feel confident in this football team moving forward? What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackmine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. Last night, I'm on 93.7 The Fan. I'm talking to Cale Berger, and he asks me two very interesting questions that I've been asked a number of times in the last week or so, and especially over the last couple of days after the win against the Los Angeles Rams. The first one was Kenny Pickett. Great in the fourth quarter, not so great to start the football game. In clutch situations, maybe one of the best in football already, as crazy as that sounds. Is that good enough? Do you feel confident in who Kenny Pickett is? Can the Pittsburgh Steelers win with that formula? And my answer was pretty simple. For right now, that's a good starting point, but it's about where you go from here. Kenny Pickett has officially entered year 2 of his NFL journey. He's 19 games in, and I thought when the broadcast team said that in week 7 against Los Angeles that it was kind of corny. I looked at it and said, yeah, okay, whatever, man. It was 18 games, but he had an entire summer to prepare. This is nothing new. Year 2 started in week 1, not in week 7. But as it went on and you kind of thought about it more, you realized there's a point there. That Kenny Pickett really is only 19 games into his NFL journey. This is technically the start of year 2. Maybe it's time to start seeing the development, but maybe the development starts now. Maybe that year 2 jump that Mike Tomlin talks about all the time and that the Steelers need to see out of their quarterback starts moving forward. And then he puts on the performance against the Rams, and you start thinking, okay, that was a step forward. It wasn't just a great final drive. It wasn't just a great 2-minute drill. It was an entire second half. Kenny Pickett was on point. He went 11 for 12. He hit guys. He got things rolling. He found open receivers and made decisions pre and post snap that were quick and efficient. Exactly what you wanted to see. It was a step in the right direction, and you thought, okay, maybe there's something to this. Is his 19th game. Things are starting to slow down. Things are starting to pick up. He's starting to understand things a little bit more. He's able to read things a little bit better. Maybe there's something to that 19-game mark. But it doesn't matter if he doesn't continue to grow. How good are you in the fourth quarter? How good are you in clutch situations? Can the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to win with a quarterback like this? Should you be concerned or should you be grateful that Kenny Pickett has that clutch gene in him? I think it's both ways. I think, yeah, you should be grateful that this is the starting point, that your quarterback is sitting here and all he's got to do is get the rest of the game under control. And if it's a 2-minute drive, if it is a last second, you got to call on somebody, you have the football and there's 90 seconds on the clock, who you calling? Well, Kenny Pickett's a good name to call. He's a good name to have out there. Can he come back, hold some ground? And I think that if you could build the rest of it, obviously you have a complete quarterback that already understands how to win in those crucial moments, which is exactly what you're looking for in a quarterback. But if he doesn't develop, if he never develops that first half, well, then it doesn't mean anything, because chances are Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Tua and Lamar Jackson, and I get that's a bad example for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's just a name that came off the dome. Those guys are not going to allow you to have a 2-minute drill. They're not going to give you the opportunity to only be down by a touchdown throughout the football game because you didn't turn it on until the fourth quarter. It's not going to happen. So if you don't develop that first half, you're only going to go this far. If you could develop that first half, you're going to go as far as you want to go because you already understand and are capable and are very calm in those weighty moments in the second half. The second question I got was, how good are the Pittsburgh Steelers? And should we feel confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers? And I think that answer is very simple. Right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-2. They're 2-0 in the AFC North. A year ago, we're talking about all these changes that need to be made and a second half turnaround, and things got to get better. And there's no chance that this team makes the playoffs. And then they start going on a run, and you're thinking, maybe they do make the playoffs. Maybe they do pull off this miracle run. Can't believe it's going to happen, but maybe they could. This is a Mike Tomlin team. Maybe Kenny Pickett's got that in him. He got the juices flowing for these guys. This year, 4-2, 2-0 in the AFC North. If the season ended right now, they're the 5th seed in the AFC. I mean, that's a much better spot to be sitting in. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, like they've shown year in and year out, are a back half football team. And they only get better as the season goes on. And Mike Tomlin, I mean, he said it yesterday. They're a gritty football team. That's their identity. Their identity is grit and hard-nosed football and figuring it out. And who cares about running the football? Who cares about throwing the football? It's about winning. Can we win football games? And they do. They're 4-2. So should you feel confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers? I mean, you should feel good enough that they got here, you know? You should feel good enough that they have control of the AFC North in their own hands. And by that, I just mean they got to just keep winning. If they keep winning in the AFC North, they're not fighting behind anybody. They end up in first place. That's how that works. If you continue to win in the division, you win the division. That's a great place to be. You continue to win during the regular season, you're in the playoffs. That's a great place to be. There's no fighting upward. There's no climbing your way out of a hole. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in a place where they have an opportunity to develop and get better without having to panic. And I think that plays a major role in are the Pittsburgh Steelers good? Should you feel confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yeah, I think you should. I think you should feel confident enough that they got to 4-2. I think you should feel confident enough I know that people don't want to hear this, and I know that Mike Tomlin shouldn't have this excuse anymore. And at some point, you got to be a full season football team. You cannot just be a back nine football team, but that's who Mike Tomlin is. And I get it. It shouldn't be an excuse, but we've seen this before plenty of times. Mike Tomlin is a second half football coach. He turns things on in the second half. He knows how to get guys going in the second half. And that just means that, yeah, the confidence should be high that the Pittsburgh Steelers second half is going to be much better than their first. And their first was good enough to set them up for an opportunity where all their second half has to do is get them to the postseason. I mean, my mom called me a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and said, hey, I'm trying to plan your brother's engagement party. I'm thinking the day before the Super Bowl. And I was like, all right, that's fine. You know, that shouldn't be any issue for me. The Pittsburgh Steelers not looking great right now. Chances are they're not going to get there. She calls me after the Los Angeles game, and she goes, I thought you said that everything was going to be fine. And I said, I thought everything was going to be fine. But if I had to sit here today and say that there's no chance the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the Super Bowl, I'd probably be lying to you. I'd probably wouldn't be giving you my full belief in this team and as crazy as it sounds, what their capabilities are. And I don't know where those capabilities max out. And I understand that there are major, major contributors to not believe that they can get there. But again, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers and this is Mike Tomlin. And this is what they do. So are you confident? Is this a good football team? They're good enough right now. They're definitely good enough right now. And how good they could get, I mean, that is up for interpretation. That is up to be seen. We will see that by the end of the season. But if this is a classic Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers, back nine football team, and a quarterback that is finally starting to develop, yeah, they are good. And yeah, you probably should have confidence in the Pittsburgh Steelers and in their quarterback.